Hello, this is Dr. Natalie Lenore Blackman coming back to you with Matters of the Heart. And today I wanted to talk a little bit more about first fruits. We talked about in the last session the importance of spending the first part of your day in the secret place. One way to think of it could be as if you were going into like a drawing room to develop your plans and your strategies for the day. That's what I go in there for. I go in there to prepare me for what I may be dealing with that day. I deal with a lot of sickness and disease and a lot of different personality traits, and I have to prepare my mind and my body for that through my spirit. If I want to be controlled by my spirit, I have to spend first fruits, or the first part of the day, regrouping, I guess you could call it. I mean, even though it's in the morning, but it's regrouping from the day before, getting a plan together for the new day. And there's a scripture that says your mercies are new every morning, right? And so it's a good time to sit before the Father and ask Him to just prepare your heart for the day, to give you the vision that He wants you to have, the ears that He wants you to have, so that you can see and hear what He wants you to hear, which is beginning to understand how to operate in those frequencies of heaven. And as we operate in those frequencies of heaven, we will begin to usher in heaven on earth, one day at a time. I'm sure most of you remember that song. There was also a TV show called One Day at a Time. I said I was going to name my business One Day at a Time when I started it. But that's how we're supposed to walk out this journey of life, is one day at a time. God is outside time. He is in quantum, and quantum is hard for a lot of people to understand, but in quantum there is no spatial time frames, okay? There's no linear or chronos time like we live in, okay? Chronological time. And that gives God the ability to redeem the time. So we've talked about on other sessions, when we go in and do this inner healing work, that God can actually redeem the negative things that came from that particular root, okay? And He does it in a way where we don't even realize that He does it, but He can. Basically, He's saying, you can live without regrets. I can make it up to you. Does that make sense? That might be a little bit easier to understand. So, the wrong decisions we've made, God can help us with those by redeeming the time. And then, as we're talking about now, in the beginning of the morning, spending that time with the Father, He can add time to our day. He can create time for us that we didn't know we even had or could have. And I've experienced that this weekend. This has been a weekend where I promise you, I've asked God a million times to make the sun stand still, like the miracle that happened in the Bible, because I never feel like I have enough time, and we've just had a very unusual weekend with some things that have come up that I wasn't expecting. and I have a presentation that's due for the Chi University International Conference in the fall, and having my daughter and the 4th of July. And so all these things just kind of could be a whirlwind. Okay. It could be a whirlwind, very stressful. All the work that I have from the week before catching up with me on top of it. And I promise God made time stand still. And there's no way for me to be able to explain it right. It didn't actually stand still. The sun in the sky did not actually not move. The clock did not actually stop ticking. The world went on in its normal manner. But in my world, in my day, 2 days in a row, it was the most beautiful space. It was heaven invading earth. It was the frequencies of heaven invading earth. There was no stress. There was no craziness. There was no chaos, confusion, frustration, irritation. It was just the peace of God. And we're moving into a new season. And that's why I also wanted to talk about this today, because we just stepped into a new month. The month of Tammuz is the 4th month in the Hebrew calendar, and it correlates with the alphabet Chet, and it means light radiating from your eyes. We talked about if the lamp of your eye is dark, then all that you will see is darkness. But if the lamp of your eye is light, right? The eyes are the window to the soul. If the lamp of your eye is light, then you're going to radiate. We talked about glowing, about being those vessels that just radiate light. We also talked about in the last session about guarding our eye gate and our ear gate. Well, the month of Tammuz is the month to guard your heart and your eyes. And that's because the scripture says that out of your heart flows the issues of life, right? Now, a lot of people nowadays, which I find it very upsetting, follow people like the medical medium, psychics in general, and they do this because they want to know the future, okay? But if you know the future, then where does your trust lie, right? In yourself? I mean, are you just doing that so you can trust in yourself and that you're going to be able to get through the situation? See, God doesn't show us the future. He broke time into these day intervals, which I said, I was going to name my business One Day at a Time. He broke time down for us, for humans, for the feeble-minded man, right? So that we could trust Him, so that we would approach each new day, each new month, each new season with expectancy. You don't have to know what tomorrow holds. You don't have to know what next week holds or next month. And this is hard coming from someone like myself. I am a planner. I like to know. I'm a prepper. I'm a planner. I like to know 5 years, 10 years down the road. But God doesn't show us that picture the way that we want to see it. Rather, He teaches us to begin our day, our first fruits with Him, and then to grab a hold of His hand, right? Perfect and entire, wanting nothing, and walk through that day. And then the next day comes, and we walk through that day. And then a new month comes, which is my favorite, okay? I love being expectant with each new month. I see it as a doorway, okay? I'm opening up a new door. I don't know what's going to happen this month, but I'm expectant because I'm walking with the Father, that it's going to be great. And if he tells me that this is the month to really guard my heart and my eyes, I want to do that. This is also a month for vision, right? Plan our vision. Sit with him and ask him to help you with the vision for your life. Now, he wants you to have vision, right? He says, my people perish for lack of vision. He wants us to have vision. He wants us to be expectant. He wants us to prepare and to plan and to grow and to produce a harvest. But we don't need to know day by day what's coming. Like, we don't need to see the events, because we're trusting in him. And just as I said this weekend, I've relinquished trying to figure out my time in advance, right? I mean, I've been there and I've done that. And now learning the Father and learning how he loves the secret place, I've started relinquishing my need to know, okay? My need to know what's coming. And this weekend was totally unexpected. But because I practice being in the secret place and operating out of the secret place, not only did he redeem my weekend, but he made it more perfect than I could have ever expected. He does that when we're holding his hand, because he can invade us when our free will says invade us. God cannot cross our free will. He created us that way. And so when you're in a relationship with someone, you're saying, hey, it's fine. Whatever you think is best for me, I'm good with that. You know me better than I know myself. You know the future better than I know the future. You know the plans that you have for me, and those are to prosper me and to bring me hope and not to harm me, right? Jeremiah 29:11. You know what's best for me. So I'm going to lean back and trust in you. And when we do that, we allow the Father to operate. And so as we begin to talk about this month of Tammuz, I want you to hear another part of this month. It is covenant alignment. Who are you in alignment with? Are you in alignment with a psychic medium? If so, we'll have to walk through cleansing that covenant. That's a very serious, very, very serious covenant, and that has to be done in the courts of heaven. But who are you in covenant alignment with? Your spouse? Your friend? Your families? Who is it that, you are planning your life around? If it's anyone other than the Father, then that's something that you want to begin saying now. Sir, help me align myself into covenant with you. Because when we do that, he makes all things work together for our good. In the craziest of situations, in the weirdest of times, in the most unusual place of bad news, he just takes us, puts us in the secret place, in the little bubble with him, under his shelter, under his wing, and allows us to continue to bring the frequencies of heaven to earth. We'll talk a little bit more about this month on the next session. But I also wanted to read a few scriptures that talk about first fruits in the morning. Hear the sound of my cry, my King, my God, for to you do I pray. In the morning, you hear my voice. O Lord, in the morning I prepare a prayer or a sacrifice for you, and I watch and I wait for you to speak to my heart. But as for me, I will enter your house through the abundance of your steadfast love and mercy. I will worship toward and at your holy temple in reverent fear and awe of you. And that is Psalm 5, 2 through 3 and verse 7. And here's another one. We talked about taking refuge, trusting in the Father. But let all those who take refuge and put their trust in you rejoice. Let them ever sing and shout for joy, because you make a covering over them and defend those. Let those also who love your name be joyful in you and be in high spirits. For you, Lord, will bless the uncompromisingly righteous. As with a shield, you will surround him or her with goodwill and favor. I say that verse every day of my life. You will surround me with a shield of favor. He can do that when we're sitting with him in the secret place, when we're sitting with him in the refuge. It doesn't matter the news. It doesn't matter what comes our way. And then the scripture in Revelation, when we're talking about the first fruits, or the first part of your morning, being in covenant. When you're in covenant with someone and you want to give them the first fruits of your day and the first fruits of the month, and you want to just spend this time with them in the secret place, it's like being in love, right? I mean, it's like that relationship, that first love, where all you want to do is spend time with that person so you get to know them. Well, it should be that same way with us, with the Father. And there's a scripture in Revelation 2:4 when he says, but I have this one charge against you, that you have left and abandoned the love that you had at first. You've deserted me, your first love. That's the Amplified version. There's a lot of different versions of that scripture. But think about that. Like, think about how it hurts God's heart when he sees his creation, like, wake up, get a cup of coffee, check the news, pull up their iPad, pull up the phone, what's on Instagram, what's on TikTok, what's happened today, what happened yesterday, what did we miss? We should be waking up and saying, I can't wait to sit with you. You're the only one that fulfills that need in my heart. You're the only one that can get me through this day, one day at a time. Okay, I hope this has blessed you. And if it has, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to talking to you soon.